Yeah, okay.
Can't have a conversation.
It's not. No, it's just not talking about it anymore. All right. So this is basically the way Google search engine detects when one were to search something like this. It has some type of dictionary, dictionary search of being able to do the lowest common denominator or a process of elimination by displaying whatever is between between the tags that are within the source code of this page, for instance, where the tags are hidden here, then it's HTML and this is the content between those tags. So it would display the first one on this page here when doing a Google search, something like this. Let's see. Great. Why isn't it not highlighting? To does something like this. It's probably maybe it's under definition. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. And basically, that does something like what I'm explaining here. It does probably it may use jQuery to do that. So it'd be like so, ID. Whereas the alternate JavaScript inflated version is this is basically the alias JavaScript version of the jQuery's ID selector way of finding something within an HTML document. If, let's say, that element is given a identifier of here would be ID following the pound sign to indicate that it's searching for an ID. Let's see, where's that? Oh, right here. The ID attribute. Whereas there's no pound sign here, obviously, but that pound sign up here is within the jQuery script to search for the element with the attribute beginning with the first one followed by the second one of ID equals, and then any div tag with the attribute of ID, or with an attribute of ID would go from top downward within this whole document, HTML document. Okay, so it would detect this basically. This one right here first. It would scan this because it found the ID attribute within this div tag or div element. And then this one has a value of not me, whereas this one has a value of my div. Now, as a guesstimation or educated guess, that the way the Google search engine may work, I've never made a Google listing, for instance, for the Google search engine. But basically, where this is displaying returns the absolute value of the specified number when searching this on Google. This is shown within the preview here, based on its ability to, probably with the dictionary search, of being able to find something like this after some type of insertion of like definition. So it's displaying this. Oh, great. Just do this. I'm not going to do the search. Just do the jQuery ID selector.
I love you, Louie. You're a good baby.
Now,
You're a good baby. You like to see mommy knit and crochet, don't you?
this one's creating a red border around the element with the ID of my ID.entry having the array value with the index of 1. Whereas the first index in almost all arrays on a computer system begin with 0, even though that's the first element, followed by incrementing it by one value, one whole number each time. Okay. This has obviously 3 entries, but the last entry has an index of 2 because the first one begins with 0 by default.
Because I gotta make up more, and tomorrow I'm gonna have to make more holes.
Okay, so
Because I gotta go up
this one here, this program is creating a border over the second
Did you check the hand to make sure it's okay?
element detected with an ID prepended with a value prepended with my ID dot entry, and then where it may this can change, for instance, the value between the opening and closing square brackets. That's the way the way this example scans the HTML document here by using
You're asking me to read this and I can't.
this script to use the jQuery selector of selecting the myDiv element or tag dot cascading style sheet method within jQuery to create a border of 3 pixels, a 3-pixel width border of a solid border, not like dashed or dotted, and with the color red, but the one given the element that has the ID of my div. This is the one. See? And that would be actually this one right here, the second one. It's my div. Whereas the first one would be not me.
Should be okay, right? It's not one of the ones.
Now, if instead of my div was selected, had the value of not me in its place, this would have the red border around it. Okay, so that's what's going on there. Whereas in this one, there's some pattern matching going on.
Holy cook. So with the other ones,
where there's an escape sequence of a backslash to ignore or to treat this dot and to interpret it as a literal, basically, to keep it and not to interpret it as code, to interpret it as plain text. Whereas if this backslash did not exist, the HTML page could be at risk of interpreting this as actual code instead of just as plain text or as a caption of detectable text or pattern matching text. Instead of where if these backslashes do not exist, it could be at risk of the period being interpreted as an actual dot operator, where it could confuse the rendering of the page, and this probably would not have a red border around it. Okay, so it detects a match of where the indexes of 1 here, and then it creates the same border with a width of 3 pixels. It's a solid border, not dashed or dotted, and the color of it is red. Okay. So that's what's going on there. Based on the script here, it looks for this. Now there's a way to insert a variable there and then have it actually iterate using a loop to go through each one of these until there's, let's say, a match of this one, for instance. If it was like, let's say it's greater, if the condition of the loop was to detect if the values are greater than 0 but less than 2, that means it must be 1, because 1 is between 0 and 2. And then in other words, they gave the insurance company this would not, chances are there would be something around between these script tags, but around this line of